Welcome to Cardano for Everyone, a podcast series from Pasta Steak Pool. Each episode explores something new about Cardano in a way that's simple and accessible for everyone. In the mood for some Cardano magic? Let's get started.
What are the big changes that are happening during this Basho era?
Well, there are two big milestones. The Vassal hard fork back in September 2022, and then the more recent one, the Chang hard fork from June 2024.
Hard forks. Can you just break it down for me? What is a hard fork?
A major software upgrade, but for the blockchain.
Okay,
Like, you know how your phone gets updates? It's like that, but way bigger.
gotcha.
And sometimes these upgrades are so big that the old version and the new version just can't work together anymore. That's where the fork happens. It's like splitting off in a new direction.
So they're not compatible anymore. Okay, so we've got Vassal and Chang, these two hard forks.
Yep.
What did each one actually do?
Well, before we jump into those, it's important to understand where Cardano started. Like before Basho, we need to go back to the Shelley era, which started in July 2020.
Okay.
This was when Cardano went from a federated system to a truly decentralized one.
Federated. Okay, now there's another word I don't really get.
Basically, imagine a small group making all the decisions.
Hmm.
That's what Cardano was like before Shelley.
So very centralized.
Very centralized. But with Shelley, they flipped the script. Everyone who holds ADA, our cryptocurrency, you can participate in running the network.
Wow, so they really opened it up. But what about the actual applications? Like, how do we get to the dApps, all the cool stuff?
Right, well, that's where the Goguen era comes in.
Okay.
This era came after Shelley, and it brought smart contracts to Cardano,
Okay.
which meant that developers could finally build those dApps we've been talking about. So Goguen was all about laying the foundation.
So we've got Shelley, we've got Goguen.
Right.
We've got this solid foundation, but then we run into the scalability problem, right? So can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, what is the problem and why is it such a big deal?
Well, imagine a single lane road, and you've got thousands of cars all trying to use it at the same time. That's what a blockchain network with scalability issues is like.
Yeah.
Transactions get stuck, fees go up, and everything just slows to a crawl.
It's not a good user experience.
Not at all.
Okay, so how did the Vassal hard fork try to solve this?
So Vassal was all about making Cardano faster and more efficient.
Okay.
One of the key things it did was introduce something called pipelining.
Okay, pipelining. What's that?
Well, think of it like an assembly line.
Okay.
Instead of processing every step of a transaction one by one, parts of the process can happen at the same time, like on a conveyor belt. Things move much faster.
So it's kind of like optimizing the workflow of the blockchain. And then what about those input endorsers I've been hearing about?
Those are like the quality control team of the blockchain.
Okay.
They streamline the whole process of validating transactions by cutting down on the number of checks needed. So again, things move faster and smoother.
So Vassal brought some serious speed improvement.
It was a big step forward.
But then we have Chang, which happened more recently.
Just this past June.
So what did Chang add to the mix?
Now, Chang is where things get really interesting because it introduced some features that completely changed the game when it comes to scalability.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so one of the biggest additions is sidechains. Imagine them as like separate lanes running next to the main Cardano blockchain. They can handle specific tasks on their own, which takes a load off the main chain and helps reduce congestion.
So it's like creating express lanes for certain types of transactions.
Exactly. And that means the network can handle a much bigger volume of transactions overall. But it gets even better. Chang also introduced something called Hydra, Layer 2 scaling solution,
Okay.
that basically creates a network of smaller, faster heads that are all connected to the main Cardano chain.
So it's like a whole network of mini blockchains.
Yeah, they can process transactions independently and then settle everything back on the main chain later.
Wow. So it's like creating a whole network of parallel roads to handle all that traffic. All these things are working together to make Cardano more scalable. Is there anything else I should know about?
There's one more key element, cross-chain bridges.
Okay, cross-chain. So we're talking about different blockchains now.
It's all about connecting different blockchains together. So you can move assets and information between them seamlessly.
So Like if I have some tokens on a different blockchain, I could potentially move them over to Cardano through these bridges.
That's the idea. It opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah, we've gone from this centralized system to this really complex, scalable, decentralized system. It's kind of mind-blowing to think that this technology can handle maybe millions of transactions every second.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The potential is huge.
It is. But what does all this mean for everyday users? Like, what's the practical impact of all this?
All this technology is fantastic, but it has to translate into a better experience for the people actually using Cardano. Imagine you're using a dApp. Maybe it's for managing your finances or trading NFTs. And that's where these scalability improvements really come in. They directly impact your experience, making transactions faster, fees lower, and dApps much more responsive.
So it's all about making things smoother and more enjoyable for the user.
Absolutely. But there's also the potential for even more amazing dApps in the future
Okay, so scalability opens up even more possibilities.
because it gives developers the freedom to build much more complex applications, things that weren't even possible before because of the limitations of blockchain technology.
So what kind of things are we talking about here? Give me some examples.
Well, we could see next generation gaming experiences, decentralized social media platforms, even revolutionary solutions in healthcare or supply chain management, even things like identity verification. The possibilities are really endless, and that's what's so exciting about all this.
So with all this focus on scalability and all this innovation going on, what kind of dApp landscape do you see emerging on Cardano? Where do you think we're going to see the most exciting stuff?
Well, DeFi, or decentralized finance, is already a huge area of innovation in crypto. And Cardano is in a great position to become a major player there.
DeFi, remind me, what does that actually cover?
Basically, it's the whole world of lending, borrowing, and trading, but without traditional financial institutions.
So it's all decentralized.
Exactly.
So what kind of specific advancements do you think we'll see in Cardano?
I think we can expect much more sophisticated lending and borrowing platforms. And let's not forget about innovative solutions for asset management and insurance, all built on a transparent and secure blockchain.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how DeFi could really change the way we manage our finances.
Definitely.
But beyond DeFi, what other areas are you excited about?
Well, NFTs are another area where I think we'll see a ton of innovation on Cardano because Cardano has native support for tokens. It's just a natural fit for NFTs. We'll see a lot of creative uses for NFTs going way beyond digital art and collectibles.
Okay, give me some examples.
Well, we could see NFTs used to represent ownership or maybe to verify the authenticity of real-world assets.
That's cool.
And remember those cross-chain bridges we talked about earlier? Those could allow for seamless trading of NFTs across different blockchains.
So you could have a truly interconnected marketplace for NFTs. Cardano has these big goals. When a blockchain gets really popular, how do you handle all those transactions smoothly?
Yeah, scalability is always the challenge.
And that's where Basho comes in. That's what we want to unpack.
Right. And what's interesting to me is how each phase of Cardano seems so focused. Like they're really building step by step, not just adding features for the sake of it. Cardano wants to be this platform for like everything, but obviously has to be able to handle tons of traffic. What are some of the hurdles even with this phased approach? Well, first you got to understand how Cardano is different architecturally. It's layered. So you've got this settlement layer, the CSL,
Okay.
and that handles all the ADA transactions, like your base layer.
So that's your core engine, just making sure the currency flows.
Then, on top of that, there's the computation layer, the CCL, and that's where all the smart contracts happen. And this layering is key. Why? Because it means each part can scale on its own.
Right. You don't want one traffic jam messing up the whole system.
So the CSL can be fast for basic transactions, and the CCL can evolve without slowing that down,
Makes sense.
handling a lot of transactions quickly and cheaply.
Basho's like adding more lanes, finding ways to manage that traffic flow better. What are some of the approaches? How do they do it?
So first thing they're probably doing is script optimization. They're making the code behind those smart contracts run better.
So like making the engine more efficient.
Streamline the code, make it faster so the network isn't bogged down.
Okay, that's one piece. What else?
They're probably also looking at memory usage, like how much memory each operation takes. And then there's parallelization, figuring out how to do multiple transactions at the same time, not just one after the other. Taking some of that load off the main Cardano blockchain.
Okay, so like side chains, we talked about those before.
Side chains, yep, that's one example.
So it's kind of like delegating some of the work. Are there other layer 2 solutions besides side chains that they might be looking at for Basho?
Well, there's one in particular that has people excited.
Hydra.
Hydra, like the mythical beast. But this Hydra, it's a layer 2 solution specifically designed for Cardano.
How does Hydra work?
So imagine it creates like a network of mini blockchains.
Oh, yeah.
They can process transactions all off the main chain and then periodically settle them back on the main one.
So it's like having a bunch of smaller processing centers, right?
Yeah, like that.
Doing things locally, then they report back to HQ.
And because these mini blockchains are called heads, can run at the same time. They can boost how many transactions happen per second.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Some people think Hydra could get Cardano to millions of transactions per second.
Millions. That's a whole other level. Not just incremental improvement, it's like a whole leap. What would that even look like in practice?
So think about it. If you've got that kind of scalability, blockchain tech could be seamless in our lives. And it goes beyond that. Think about financial inclusion. People in countries without good banking systems, they can participate globally.
It levels the playing field. Everyone has the same tools.
That's where it gets really interesting, I think, because scalability isn't just some, like, tech spec. It's what lets blockchain tech become part of our everyday lives, not just something for, like, specialists.
So it's about going from, like, theory to actual things that affect people.
Imagine microtransactions are instant, practically free. That changes everything. People who don't have good banking, they can participate globally. You can have whole new business models pop up based on these tiny payments.
It's like everyone has access to the same tools then.
Well, we talked about DeFi and its potential, and we're already seeing some pretty impressive decentralized exchanges like MinSwap and SundaeSwap.
So these are like crypto exchanges, but without a central authority controlling everything.
Exactly. Users can trade cryptocurrencies directly with each other, peer-to-peer,
Okay.
and they use smart contracts to ensure that everything's secure and transparent.
So what are the big advantages of using a DEX over a traditional centralized exchange?
Well, one of the biggest is control. With a DEX, you're in charge of your own assets. You don't have to rely on a third party to hold your funds or worry about them being hacked or frozen.
That definitely brings some peace of mind, especially in the crypto world where things can be so volatile.
Absolutely. And another key advantage is censorship resistance. VXs are open to anyone regardless of their location or identity.
So it's all about financial inclusion and empowerment.
It aligns perfectly with the whole decentralized ethos of blockchain.
So we've got Cardano shaping the future of finance. What about other areas? Any cool dApps outside of DeFi that you're excited about?
Definitely. One area where Cardano is making a real difference is in supply chain management. There's a company called BeefChain that's using Cardano to track the journey of beef from farm to table.
Wait, so I could scan a QR code on my steak at the grocery store and see exactly where it came from.
That's the idea. It provides complete transparency for consumers, farmers, and retailers.
That's amazing. I can see how that would build trust and reduce fraud. I'm noticing a trend here. It seems like Cardano is all about bringing transparency, trust, and efficiency to industries that are often really complex and kind of opaque.
That's a great observation. Another cool example is Prism. It's a digital identity solution built on Cardano.
Digital identity. What's that all about?
Well, it's being used to provide secure and verifiable credentials for individuals.
So instead of carrying around a physical passport or driver's license, you could have a digital version stored on the blockchain.
It's way more convenient and also more secure.
So it's like we've gone from making transactions faster to potentially changing entire industries. This is pretty mind-blowing stuff.
It is, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. The Cardano ecosystem is constantly growing with new dApps being developed all the time.
Wow. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Cardano, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think the most important thing is that Cardano is much more than hype or speculation. It's a platform built on a solid foundation with a clear vision and a passionate community.
What's really stood out to me is that it's not just about the technology, it's a movement, it's a community, and it feels like a platform for positive change.
And those scalability advancements we talked about, they're paving the way for mass adoption and making that vision of a decentralized future a reality.
It's been an awesome journey exploring the world of Cardano, and I have a feeling this is just the beginning. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Cardano. We hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Thank you for being part of Cardano for Everyone. We hope you gained something valuable from today's episode. If you'd like to support our mission of making Cardano knowledge accessible for all, consider selecting Pasta from the pool list when you delegate. Every bit of support helps us bring more content to listeners like you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you on the next episode.